All right, hey guys, I wanted to do another deal breakdown. This particular deal is here in Wichita, Kansas. This is a property that we put under contract. We executed this strategy, a BRRRR strategy, and it's a Section 8 tenant. So let's get into it. This particular deal was 1123 North Oliver here in Wichita, Kansas. Like I said, I've worked with a wholesaler many times before, and that's how we acquired this property, was through this particular wholesaler. As I said, I've done plenty of deals with him. This one was unique because it was occupied property. So I met the wholesaler there, and we walked the property, and those are always interesting, weird conversations when you're walking through with a tenant and, you know, they got kids screaming in the background and everything. But needless to say, that's how we walked this property, and it's how I got a good look at it. The wholesaler had a reasonable price, so that's what made me show up. And so we went with it. The house honestly was in really good shape. This house is an all brick house. It's on a busy street, but I knew that it cash flowed well and the numbers made sense. So I didn't have to fix anything, and I didn't. I still haven't done anything to that house. It was a great property. We were able to negotiate the price down. We paid $62,000 for it. We quickly ordered our appraisal. So the process of the BRRRR strategy is getting an appraisal on the property to get it under long-term financing. And so again, I had it under contract with the wholesaler for $62,000, and we started the appraisal. I borrowed money, private money, for this purchase, as I usually do. So we were able to close on it. Honestly, I think it was like 7 days later. So I owned it outright, but I had begun the appraisal process and the refinance process. As I said before, it had no renovations to be made. So a few things I learned on this one as I'll go through the appraisal. No renovations. Oftentimes to appraisers means we're not going to value this as high. They like to see nice new kitchens, and this appraiser, I'd had experience with them before, and I had gotten a low appraisal back from him before on another property. And so I was already leery about it. But yeah, the appraisal came back 7 days later at $70,000, which the comps supported a much, much higher appraisal. So I contested this with my lender, and I said, hey, this should comp out much, much, much higher. That's why I bought the dang thing. So I contested it. He came up a little bit. 75,000 is what he adjusted it to. He made notation that it was on a busy street, so that knocked it. And that the comps that I was pulling from, while they were within a half mile of the property, they were not on a busy street, and they were tucked in just a little bit nicer neighborhood, were his reasonings. But anyway, I gave him 6 solid comps. I mean, I gave him everything that I had in the book, 6 solid comps. And he came back at me with 3 lower comps. So lesson learned there. The BRRRR strategy depends greatly on the refinance and the appraisal. Big lesson that I learned. So yeah, moving on this, I've been advised since to vet your appraiser if you can. The lenders usually pull from a pool of appraisers that they work with. If you can, give the appraiser on the front end of it, rather than trying to negotiate and get the appraisal higher. Put all your comps on the front end of it. Give them every possible thing that you could do to justify that higher appraisal. Give it to them on the front end instead of trying to play catch up like I did. So needless to say, I'll do that next time, and have done that since. This loan originated from Valley State Bank here in Wichita. They gave me an 80% loan to value of that $75,000 appraisal, which came in at $60K. So as I said before, I paid more than that. $60K is what I now have a 20-year note on. So the BRRRR strategy is this refinance process. And so I had to come to closing with $4,000, which doesn't always feel great, but honestly, I have a great cash flowing unit. I have a Section 8 tenant in there. They're subsidized, and they pay like clockwork on that house. It was an awkward walkthrough, but that house was cleaner than any house I've ever been to. I'm not going to lie. So through the appraisal process, coming in at $75,000, I have a note now, a mortgage for $60,000. I brought $4,000 to closing. I handed it over to my property manager. I already had a tenant in there, so I didn't have any turnover or anything. I signed a new 12-month lease. That thing's going to cash flow $300 a month. The bummer on the deal, the appraisal. I really thought we were going to get a $110,000 appraisal, but we didn't. So in this case, you just roll with what you've got. But this is going to be a great cash flowing unit. I own it to this day. I have no intentions of getting rid of it. $300 a month cash flow. I'll take that all day long. I've got $4,000 in the deal. Oftentimes we'll execute this strategy and we'll walk away with $4,000. That's tax-free money, by the way. That's a loan. The mortgage that I've initiated on it, if the appraisal would have come back higher, and I would have paid back my private lender, if I had had a higher appraisal, I could have executed that same 80% loan to value, and I would have been walking away with a check from the title company, which oftentimes we do. This one, we left $4,000 into it, but that's a deal breakdown. This is a pretty common deal for us. Found it from a wholesaler through networking, somebody that we trusted, and we're a tried and true buyer. So that wholesaler knows that they can count on us to close. Did one walkthrough. I didn't have an inspection or anything. I was the inspection. We closed on it very quickly and initiated the refinance. The one glitch in the appraisal, but at the end of the day, this is a typical deal for us, and I'll take it any day of the week. I'll take deals like this.